Hey, and welcome to Creative Clatch. This is Rochelle Payne with Creativity Tribe, and this is part of the Elevate Your Creative Spirit series. Today we're going to be talking about creating cardboard inspiration hangers, little signs that remind us of what it is that is important to us to focus on throughout the year. Now, it's the beginning of 2015, and we all have things that we're wanting to achieve for the next year. And it may be that we just want to have a little shift in the way we think, or maybe you have big goals that you're wanting to attain. But this is a great way to simplify what we want to focus on and have it as a reminder in our home, in our office, or wherever it is that we need a little bit of extra inspiration. Even though we're doing this project at the beginning of the year, it's something that you can pull out throughout the year anytime you're starting a new project, anytime you're needing a little boost in your own life, and simply pull it out and allow it to help propel your own personal growth. So let's get started. To begin your cardboard mixed media inspiration hangers, you'll want to gather some materials. I'll have a list for you down below in the description. I started off with cardboard. I picked a size that felt right to me and a shape that I liked, pulled off the extra bits and pieces, and began to score the cardboard, pulling up some of the layers to create interest. I used the end of my paintbrush here, as you can tell. Then I wet the entire piece of cardboard so that it would soak up the paint easily and not take up more than I wanted. I started with a layer of white and wasn't particular about how well I covered it because I wanted to make as much interest as possible. Then it was time to add some color. I chose 2 colors in warm and 2 colors in cool using liquid acrylic and golden fluids in the color of magenta, my favorite color. Now I want to say that I think you could use acrylic paint just as easily, but this is what I had. I applied the colors with some of the color on the right side in warms and some of the color in dots on the left side in cool colors. Then, using my water, I began spritzing the colors and with my finger and a paintbrush began just doodling around with the colors, letting them run and smearing them together so that they covered the area well enough to add some interest. Then with the end of my acrylic medium, my liquid acrylic, I went back and added some details inside the creases of the cardboard. Then, using the end of the liquid acrylic nozzle, I began dotting and making lines, just doodling around with the different colors. Now you could easily use a paintbrush for this part, or oil pastels, or even colored pencils. Lots of different options here. You just want to make sure the different layers are dried before you move on. At this point, I'm finished with phase 1 of my project, the background. And it's time to begin to start thinking about what I want to add on as my next layer. So I grabbed some more supplies, just whatever inspired me, and decided I would play with a Sharpie. Now, the danger with a Sharpie is that it is permanent, and well, first I needed to figure out what I was going to use with my Sharpie. So I went to my trusty journal. As you can see at the top of the journal here, peeking right out there, we have a sun, and my word for the year is sizzle, so I thought that sun might be fun. But you can see when I got started applying the sun to my background, it really was a fail. But I wasn't scared. I covered it up with paper using matte gel, and you could use any kind of glue that you had, and then began working that symbol onto the paper. At this point, there are lots of options you can choose for coloring your symbol. I chose the golden fluids as well as the liquid acrylic and applied water to them to water them down and use them sort of like you would watercolors. I tried to be kind of splotchy and a little bit messy with it just to give interest, and decided to use lots and lots of white for my background. I like the white because it makes a really nice contrast. And when you get to see the bigger picture, you see that it makes the symbols really stand out. I added a flaming heart, a sizzling heart, and then the word sizzle so that I would have a reminder of that throughout the year. And here we have the full picture. You can see the sizzling heart, the sun beaming down and reminding us to sizzle. Now it's time to put on the final part of the project, which is the wire that creates the hanger. I'm going to take you through this, but I don't want you to get scared. Even if it feels overwhelming to you to do wire work, know that you can simply tie a ribbon on top of it and it'll be just as cool. I chose a color that felt sizzling hot, magenta. I looped it through and then wrapped it around several times on itself. That created my first loop. Then, with the tail, I simply curled it around the end of a paintbrush so that I had a nice little curly cue. That finishes up that side. Now decide how long you want your hanger part to be. Loop it into the next hole and several times around itself, and you'll have a little tail that you can play with. This is what I like to think of as doodling with wire. You can create little loops and little squiggles, letting your imagination and your hands just play with the wire. Don't be afraid, just have fun. I even created a little drop down part with another loop in the same way that I would loop it around the whole of the cardboard, but this time I looped it inside the hole of a little charm that reads, "Follow your heart." It's the perfect little addition for my sizzling heart inspiration hanger. You can choose to add beads or charms or nothing at all and let the ribbon or the wire make its own statement. When you're done, simply hang it in a place that will remind you of what you want to be inspired about for this year or for the project that you're working on or for some aspect of your life. I chose the door to my studio. I want to invite you to share your cardboard inspiration hangers in the Creative Clatch Facebook group. This is Rochelle Payne with Creativity Tribe for Creative Clatch, inviting you to elevate your creative spirit.